And it's a lovely Wednesday afternoon coming to you live from the South Lamar studio. You have Bruno Cicchini and Hagen Fritz here on the RO R&D stream because you know what they say, there's no building without us teaming. One day you'll finish it.
What, you didn't give me like half a second.
How are you, Hagen?
I am doing well. Wow, you sound really good.
I've been practicing
Practicing your radio voice?
vocals.
Well, you've been good practice. Money well spent.
Thank you. It's probably a shout out to Mr. Holmes, who always...
Mr. James?
Mr.
Donald Holmes?
Yeah, Donald Holmes. Great production.
He always shows up on these little interactions we have.
I think so.
I wonder why.
He enjoys it. We gotta get him feather up before the interview.
Right, yeah.
But enough about him. How are you, Hagen? How's R&D doing?
R&D's doing good. I'm good.
I know last time you told us about your little R&D tour.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you went to Houston and San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess, yeah. We went to Houston. Every conversation was awesome.
Did you get to put some dirt on that vest? Or is it still neon yellow?
We walked Callum Kelly's job a little bit. Walked through. It was a relatively small part of the job, but yeah, I guess a little bit of dust on that jacket.
Oh, nice.
That
And then
vest, rather.
Dallas is next, correct?
Yep. So tonight we're leaving to go to Dallas. I think Thursday we're going to be most of the time in the office. I think we go to one job site, and then Friday we're touring around more places. But yeah, so I think we're talking about 10 people, so that'll be exciting.
That is. Have you found any interesting insights worth sharing, or still kind of secret?
It's not secret by any means. It's interesting the different split, but if we want to go all in on like these ideas that are going to take a month at most. So it's interesting to see the differences, how people. I feel like there's an even split almost, and it's interesting to see why the reasoning that people have, because it's not always the same. There are some people do echo the same sentiment, but there are some differences. So it's very interesting, and they all have great reasoning too.
Well, that's exciting. So if you're in Dallas and you want to drop by the office tomorrow.
Thursday, we'll be there all day. Stop in for R&D office hours.
Exactly. And if not, Friday, if you're lucky. Friday after the QM Forum.
QM Forum, yes.
I hear R&D might also make an appearance at the QM Forum.
Well, if you remember, we have to go to 10 meetings a year, so I can't skip out. So at least one of us will be there.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Anything else the R&D team
Yes.
working on?
Yes.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. There's things going on. Yes. There is. If you allow, I'm gonna get my soapbox out. I'm gonna step up on it. I'm gonna change my mentality. Yeah, a lot of soaps in here, and kind of, reach out to the RO community. We sent out. So there's those monologues we were just talking about. We also sent out a little survey. 3 minutes. It takes 3 minutes and 10 seconds. That's the average time. I looked at it yesterday. We only have about 89.
If you leave it open for like 10 minutes. I might have been guilty
I don't
of that.
know. That might ruin the data.
Okay.
So I think maybe one person did. So maybe it only takes like 2 minutes, right? But we've only had 89 responses. We have about 500 people in the company, right? So, not super hot response rate. But so what's really cool about the survey, right, is the people are directing R&D with what they want to do. Right? Your feedback is how we're going to move forward and operate in the future, right? Do you want us to do these deep dives, or do you want to do these quick implements, right? So your voice is very important to us, and we're gonna take the feedback we get from these surveys and actually do those things. So it's kind of cool in the sense that we're structuring our whole department and all the things we're going to do based on people's responses. But we need their responses. So if you haven't filled out the survey, please fill out the survey. It'll really, really help us.
Is there going to be a reminder email to be sent out? Your boss is saying yes.
Yes, my boss is saying yes. He's behind me, I believe, but he's saying yes. So there will be hopefully a reminder. It's still open, so just find that email from James. I think James will probably throw the link to that in the chat, and you can click on that and find that survey.
That is pretty neat. I know. I like how you're giving the people a chance to speak up and just help them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's our whole rigmarole, right? As R&D, we want to help everyone.
And speaking of helping everyone, I know we talked about it last week. The RO newsletter came out digitally.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I talked to the amazing marketing team.
Amazing.
They did tell me that they're getting ready to send those out. So look out for your mailboxes at home. You should be getting those pretty soon.
Hard copies? That's cool.
Yeah. And then they also gave me an interesting stat. Can I use speaking stats? You like numbers.
I love numbers.
Ones and zeros. So apparently, according to them, we have had around 254 people open the digital newsletter.
Okay.
So
Wow.
not bad.
Yeah,
pretty
about
good.
half.
Some maybe repeats.
Yeah.
That means there's still more people out there that can do some live reading
Right. Yeah.
before bedtime.
Maybe they're just waiting for the hard copy anyway, right?
Maybe perfect.
People like the tangibles.
True, and then it's a perfect bedtime story for your kids. So
Yeah. Read about all those highlights from the year, all those projects.
So look out for those.
Yeah.
What else is going on in your world, Hagen?
For the Austin folks, we have the kickball event going on. So the
Kickball
CLC,
game?
yeah, Construction Leadership Council.
Do you know we are pretty?
Oh, we're pretty
Good at
we're
kickball.
a pretty dominant force here in
Do you
Austin.
know our kickball
the kickball
team name?
community. Rocket?
Team Rocket.
Team Rocket. Nice.
You know what it stands for?
I know the RO is for Rogers O'Brien,
Nice.
and I guess the C is for construction.
And kickball is the K. You got it.
Rock. Got it. I forgot there's a K in that word.
The international team, Rocket.
International team?
I think so.
Okay. Well, it's an E.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it could be an I. Okay. I
Rocket.
need to see the word in front of me. Goodness.
Visualization.
Well, that's why we have Cesar.
That is true. Hey, boy, you have any more details about this? When is this happening? Who is it organizing it?
It's
Who can play?
It's a Friday. That I know. I believe it's March 3rd. March 1st. 31st.
Goodness gracious.
We get those numbers. I get them here.
They say you were good at numbers.
I was trying to read James.
You need to visualize it. You need. I got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
What-
We'll print your calendar next time.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just put it right behind your face there. But no, James Donald Holmes, he sent out an email about it. I believe last night last night. So if you're in in the Austin office and you want to play kickball, sign up for that.
That's very exciting.
I believe it's Friday from and spouses and spouses.
And I believe it takes from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. around that time.
Oh, so you knew all the information. You just
I
wanted
did.
to make it. Okay, cool.
I did read the email, so
Well,
and I know my calendar.
I signed up for it. So
But you hear that? I think it's time for
Hardhat Questions.
So pull the
Excellent.
hard hat. You bring it?
I did. Yes.
Okay. I didn't bring it.
And I feel like I've been talking a lot, so I want to
I
ask.
love to talk. Okay.
Well, how do you want to do this?
You can. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You have more. You're a veteran at the RO company.
Okay, got it.
So, which idea on the innovation station has interested you the most?
Oh.
It's a good one. And you have a lot of knowledge about this, right? We grade them all the time. Actually, you have more knowledge than I do, so I'd be curious to hear what you say.
That's a tough one. There's a lot of great ideas out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we also counting challenge ideas?
I would say, for the sake of this, no.
Okay. I would say the National Archive idea.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
I was trying to help our marketing team.
Mm-hmm.
I know they had that very, very, very early idea submitted. So I think it's kind of cool for them to kind of have this historical archive where they can reference whenever they're putting proposals together or just trying to reference all the projects we've done across different regions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of have this digital place to go to. Plus, I think all the files are pretty big. They tend
Yeah.
to be large.
I hear that. Yeah.
And I'm sure every time they have to do a little puzzle piece, take some from here, take some from there.
Yeah.
I think having a centralized source for them would be hugely beneficial.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, save them some time writing those proposals and whatnot.
Exactly. What about you? Do you have any idea? I know you had those sleep pods.
I do, yes.
You can't,
But
do
I
sleep
can't.
pods.
I can't use that one because that's my own idea. I can't. I would love to toot my own horn, but
Love
I
to
can't.
do that.
Yeah, I left my horn at home. Goodness, I wasn't ready for this.
Oh, you should have seen it coming.
I like. I'll kind of borrow from you the pre-con historical cost. I think that one's almost the same vein, but for the pre-con department, right? So, I think
Same
that'll.
vein, different body.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So I think it's the same idea, right? Having those estimates in a historical cost database that they can query and spit out numbers so they can get started rolling faster on their other estimates. I know they got a ton of work, right? So if we can shave off, even hopefully a lot of time, right? They'll be able to produce better numbers, things like that.
Yep. I think we have time for one more question.
Just a lightning question,
One
yeah.
question. I'll ask it.
Okay.
Don't mind me.
I won't answer.
This one's seemed to be a little bit on theme. This is from Jose Quintanilla at Jojo Mojo.
Jojo Mojo.
How is your department going to achieve a 4-star rating from operations?
Oh, yeah. Well,
You have to give
OKR.
quick answers.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Right. I think going around and talking to everyone is not only we're finding out how to direct our department, but we're hearing a lot of cool ideas and a lot of small little struggles and bigger struggles that we can hopefully tackle. So I know James and I have heard a lot of themes. So hopefully, once we figure out which kind of ideas we're going to tackle, we can actually focus on those themes that we're seeing.
Very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think.
Do you want to answer or no?
I can answer.
Okay.
I know VDC has been working on better standardizing and documenting the processes and procedures. I know we have a little council with operations trying to kind of maximize how we do and approach coordination. So I think that's one big thing we're trying to do to kind of help projects throughout.
Yeah. That sounds like you're like standardizing, documenting things. It sounds a lot like things that our guest might be interested in doing, right?
Great segue.
I thought so.
So without further ado, this guy is a wonderful guy. He's a very special guest.
Yeah.
When I started working here, I thought he was John Krasinski because he looked like him.
He does actually. Wow.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he has a little bit more gray hairs now, so don't mind those. But if you like, cover his face a little bit,
right.
you can picture him out. And some people are born with talent. Some people are born with good looks.
Absolutely.
Some people are born with neither.
Ooh.
So, but even if with neither, people have still been able to make it work.
Right.
So this is a great success story. Looking forward to hearing about him. Because he's just the type of guy. He's like pocket change in your car cup holder.
Oh, how so?
Always ready to help you out in those hard times.
Excellent.
So,
wow, nice.
So you know what they say. They can't spell OPEX without grammar. So I'm happy to welcome a very special guest, Johnathon Grammer.
Yay, Jonathan.
Hagen, I have a conundrum here.
What's that?
We have so many great people at RO, and I just wish there was a way I could just give them a little pat in the back, a high five, or one of these. Not a gig 'em, but a thumbs up.
Right.
Do you know what I could do?
Yes, I do. Have you heard of this thing called motivosity?
Motivosity?
Yes. It's like motivate and
Curiosity.
Curiosity, yes. Find on the internet, so on the company apps, as well as at ro.motivosity.com. You just type that in your little web browser, and it's a nice little portal. You can find any employee at RO, and you can search them up, and you can give them that little kudos that you were looking for.
Is this kudos a note? Is there some monetary attached to it? Is there a gift? Or how does it, what can I send them?
Right. It's a little note, and what's really neat is you can actually tag what core value that person, that employee embodied. It can be a single person, multiple people, and then you have a little bit of funds that you can dip into that RO gives you every month, and you can actually give them $1 or $2.
And what can I do with all the Motivosity bucks that I get?
Well, you can amass that, and then you can dump it into something like a gift card, Amazon, Target, any of those, or you can actually buy things like on the RO store, right? So pretty much the sky's the limit on what you can do with that money.
That's very exciting. Thanks, Hagen. I think you solved my problem.
I think so.
I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes sending some bucks to people.
I hope so. Hope I'm one of them.
And the place is called Motivosity?
Motivosity.
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 Where you can acknowledge, encourage, and celebrate one another.
I thought that we could trust him. I really did. It's been years, right? Never had an issue with this guy. And then all of a sudden he comes out and just disembowels you over a live stream. I mean, shoot. That was brutal. Well, Mr. Johnathon Grammer, thank you so much for making the trip down to Austin Day. I am very excited to be sitting here talking with you for the next 46 minutes about all the terrible things we can say about Bruno.
Yeah, so. I'm looking forward to every one of them, capitalizing on all those. No, thank you for having me.
Before we dig into Bruno too much, just so that everyone knows, anyone who might not be familiar and relatively new department, what is your current role at Rogers O'Brien?
I'm Director of Operational Excellence at Rogers O'Brien Construction.
Very cool. And have you been a Director of Operational Excellence your entire time here? Or is that something new for you? Or?
No, that's pretty new. We rolled out the OpEx department October, November of 2021. So pretty new. We're working on 18 months or so here in a couple months. I started out as an intern with RO in 2007.
2000? No kidding.
Yeah, Texas Health Resources Presby Rockwall was the project. Yeah,
man. 07.
Yeah, hired on after that. Mr. Hughes gave me a letter at the end of the summer trying to convince me to come back. I signed it, you know, cut out all those other options, committed to a girlfriend, right? And then from there, man, it's been a ride. It's been a roller coaster. I went the office engineer route, which is now project engineer, the quality manager route, and then I chose to go the superintendent path. So I spent 5 years on the superintendent side.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite role out of all those so far between the projects? You're kind of the that entry level, right? Everything's new, everything's exciting, everything's also a challenge, and then you move into the more, those super assistant PM type roles as compared to actually having to bear the load and responsibility. Is there a particular phase in all that where you're like, this is the sweet spot for me?
Man, I really liked all of them. I was fortunate to work with teams that allowed me to be a little more dynamic in my role, right? So as long as I was getting my baseline responsibilities done, if I wanted to dabble in, project management a little bit, I was able to help with, writing scopes, putting together, contracts, that type of stuff. And I was also able to play on the superintendent side. That's one good thing about RO and the way that we do that structure where, your path's not predetermined. You have a few years at least to figure out what those two sides are. I'd recommend everyone take advantage of it, right? Do your job and then at least pay attention or learn to what these other roles around you are doing so that you can make a more educated decision when it's time.
So that's a great lead into my next question, which is, what do you love about RO?
So I thought about this one. This is the one you've asked everybody, right?
Everybody.
So I knew this one was coming.
We're going to have a clip of these at some point. It's going to play for like an hour at the next RO Connect event or something. I don't know what yet, but we're going to have a lot of good answers.
So I tried very hard to come up with an answer that wasn't the people, because it's such an easy one, right? And it really is true. And I even thought about that and what that means, and to expand on that for a moment, because I do think it is the people to a large degree. Between our leadership and between the people we work with and adjacent to, like everyone's rowing in the same direction. Everyone's the same, we talk about culture and that type of thing. And I think we have a really strong culture from the fact that everyone gets along, right? The person next to you is going to pull their weight. The person in the job down the street's pulling their weight, and everyone just gets along. I think that's great. So the people answer, and this is a little bit self-serving, but I feel like right now with where we're at in the industry and where we're at as a company, I feel like our potential is just enormous, right? So I thought I got to qualify this one because that could be offensive, right? Not saying we haven't done great, not saying we don't do great currently. The way that I can think of to explain what's in my head, because sometimes it's hard to get those things out, right, in words. I was thinking about an example. So like the NBA, for example, or the NFL, they do like all-star games, or the NFL is the Pro Bowl, right?
Yes, sir.
You watch those teams or those games in particular, and it's all amazing players, right? Arguably the best in each position. That's the whole concept. That's what they're doing. But when those teams don't have the experience together and the synergy and that camaraderie and that, it just doesn't quite work, right? You could arguably bring the second or third best team in the league to play against that team, and they're going to smoke them, right? And that's what I say. We've had such a huge period of growth where we've brought in all these all-stars, all these great people. We just haven't got all running in the same direction quite yet, right? And that's what, like I said, self-serving. That's part of what OpEx is here to do. We're trying to create some of that consistency. We're trying to bring everyone together, trying to create a uniform deliverable, as an organization. So the playbook obviously is huge in that, right? That's, to me, for me, myself, that's the most exciting thing. That's what I love about RO right now, is that huge amount of potential. Seeing all those all-stars, all that talent, and just knowing that we're going to be able to funnel that and to get that all going in the right direction, and just excited to see what's to come.
I love to hear it. That open, expansive, and positive mindset is so fan. To be great now, it's another thing to be better than great tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head with, you can be larger than the sum of your parts, but it's going to take how to work with you. You need to kind of know how to shift that transmission before you take the car out to the track, if you will.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of the car, right? It's not just the people. All the people are great, but they're all bringing their playbook, right? Whether they worked at DPR, whether they came out of school, whether they worked at Austin Commercial, they all brought their own playbook to the game. And that's just like that All-Star game. Everyone's reading from that playbook they're used to, and we're trying to figure out which one is the right one, right? So the tools that we have now available to us are just so immense, right? There's 5 places to do a daily report, right? That's part of the whole strategy, right? Is refining that tool set down to something that's more consumable, more manageable, something we can train better to, something that we can allow all of those people to be that much more successful with.
Man, that's great. That's a great overview too. I think of kind of the OpEx department, operational excellence department, kind of what you guys are honing in on, and a little sign. We'll touch on that later. And then it ended with an R. There was a P in the middle.
Oh, although that's on the list.
Can't.
Okay, so I'm sorry, that's too close to home. Sorry. Well, if you've converted,
Give you a hard time.
that should be
Long
dust in the wind,
past.
man.
Yeah. Back to the question.
Yes.
How did you get into OpEx? You were a superintendent. There had to be something that was it that opportunity? Did you see that, hey, this could be improved upon? Was it someone pushing you, pulling you? Kind of what? How did that occur? I'm so interested in hearing what happened there.
Probably much more organic or natural than you would assume. Very much a form follows function type of thing. So, back when I was in operations, I was lucky enough to be part of the leaders group. I was a part of a handful, at least, of task force around different things. Scheduling was one. Out of the leaders group, we created Joseph Williams. It's been a minute since he's been here, but Joe Williams was our director of EDC for a while. He and I kicked off our leaders group produced thing. So I was a part of a lot of things that were beyond that role, beyond those day-to-day responsibilities, and continuing to find holes to be filled or problems to be solved. While obviously continuing to maintain my day-to-day responsibilities was, I think, kind of what led to where I am today. Todd Wynn and myself, back in 2016 or so, wanted to revamp the 1999 Rogers O'Brien process manual. We knew there was something to be had there. We knew bringing that process, bringing that consistency, bringing that training. Right? When someone's new and they come into the company, how do I do an RFI here? It very well could be different than the place that they came from, right? At least the platform. What platform do you want me to use? So in 2016, 2017, we started down that journey, and then we launched the first playbook. I had a couple jobs going on at that time. I was overseeing VDC in Dallas. I was director of quality. So I had a day job, and trying to do those things on the side. Everybody knows we have a new one now. It obviously didn't work out, right? I don't want to go open that wound up too far, but it didn't work out as planned. So we knew there was still value. We knew that need was still there. We knew we needed to solve that problem. So we circled back around. We want to drop the 2.0 at some point and just go back to the RO playbook. That's what we want to call it. But we have the playbook 2.0 now. And that was a big piece of what spurred OpEx being a department, was seeing the tangible value, how we do what we do, right? Everybody has a day job. It's hard to do your job and focus on optimization, right? And that's the true genesis of where it came from, was seeing the need, seeing the value behind committing resources to that.
It's you guys can't see me on the camera because you're looking at Grammer. I'm over here biting my lip every other second. I just want to interject so bad. From 1999, I think some people in this room may not have been alive when that was out. Do you know what the original? Do you know what the original kind of how that came to be? Was that like an actual? Was that like a binder with the clear dividers that you put the sheets into? Like what was that?
That's exactly right. That's
Really?
exactly what it was. So we were chasing some work for Texas Instruments, TI. And that was not something we had. We didn't have a process manual. Excuse me. We had all those things, right? A lot of people here weren't fortunate enough to know Pat O'Brien, but he was a very regimented man, right? There were clear expectations. There was clear requirements, things you knew what you needed to do. It didn't have to be written down in a manual, right? I started in 2007, came on full time in 2008. I knew what was expected of me. It was very clear. Having the 1999 process manual sit on the shelf and collect that dust because that expectation was so clear was what spurred needing a revamp, right? We had so many people come in, and it was just hard to continue that word of mouth training and that peer-to-peer training. So bringing all that back up and current was very relevant and very applicable at the time.
Boy, especially I think from 99 to 2016, like that's 17 years. 99, we were still in 90 whatever in the date. You had Seinfeld on air, phones with cords and all that. And then 2016, we're on like iPhone 6 or 7, something along those lines. MySpace has come and gone. All those changes. And
I never had a MySpace.
What was that?
I never had a MySpace.
Oh, you missed out.
Totally missed out.
Man, that's
Background music.
I'll tell you what, that Tom guy had it figured out. He may not be the billionaire that the next guy was, but I have a feeling he sleeps a lot easier at night. He's probably still living just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the amount of change culturally, technologically over that time period. I can't imagine the task that it was to undertake. Hey, we're going to bring this back to life in a modern iteration. And I know you said, it didn't work out, it failed, however you want to state that. But I think there are also so many lessons learned that's still just can't even put a value amount on the learning that took place from that first effort. And I think that probably helped you then going forward. Be like, no, this needs to be a full-time gig. I mean, you already mentioned it. Everyone's very busy with their project tasks and all that. It's not reasonable to look at something as powerful as the playbook and say, well, we'll just expect people to kind of manage this on the side. Like that needs to be a full-time effort. So I think we got very lucky to have had someone like yourself in place that saw that opportunity, saw that white space, went down the road once, learned the way how to not do it, took those lessons learned, and then the second go around, I think it's been an absolute screamer of success. I hear nothing but good stuff about it. It's so easy to navigate, 730 some odd cards in there. And just the capabilities it has are phenomenal. The ability to put the links in there, the forms, the way that you navigate it, very intuitive. So job well done, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I know you mentioned Todd. It's funny too because you mentioned Joseph Williams. I'm like, who was that? It's like, oh, Joe Williams. So Joe Williams, if you're out there, I don't know if Todd is throwing these your way, but know that it's been 4 or 5 years since our paths forked off, but still feeling those impacts every day. So thank you for all that you did. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Who were some of the other impactful people? Were there others that were impactful in the operational excellence department forming and kind of your process generation and all that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, too many to list. I'd be doing a disservice by attempting to list a few, so I won't. But we get calls, right? So Nick Vargo, or I guess real quick, who is an OpEx, that'll help. I can talk about him moving forward if I tell you who they are.
Of course.
So Lacey Williamson joined the group about 14 months ago. She was my first member.
Like how you talk about them like they're your kids. It's 14 months old.
Yeah, 14. 14
only happens with kids.
Sweet. So she joined with the initial challenge of implementing Procore Financials, which is no small feat at all. And just watching her, and she knocked it out of the park. I mean, she did an absolutely amazing job, right? Took the bull by the horns, ran with it. I didn't expect it to go half as smooth as it went. And not her, just a software implementation in general. They're difficult. They're challenging, especially when you're taking a core system like Project Financials. We're taking Vista and switching to something else. I mean, that was huge. So Lacey spearheaded that and absolutely knocked it out of the park. Nick Vargo joined the team about 4 months ago or so officially. He kind of worked his way in. He's championing all other things Procore. So anything Procore that's not Procore Financials is Nick's. That's his wheelhouse. So I said all that. Remind me where we were. Where were we at?
I love it all.
He's laughing at me over there.
Yeah.
He's like, change
Oh
in
my
the cup
gosh.
holder.
Yes, we
Change
can.
in the cup holder.
I know where he lives. he's got to walk home. We can show you what
I'm
Shags
not
Deep
sure he's
uses.
going to make it out of the room. We'll see.
I was curious as to who were some of the most impactful people with the genesis of the OpEx department.
Yes, thank you. So, with before Nick came on board, I was doing both Procore and the playbook and a lot of other things. But getting all those calls from everyone on how do I do this, what's the process for that, all of those things, right, was very demanding, right? And that was all still part of. That was not when OpEx was a thing, right? That was just when we were plug and play. I was still doing quality. We had IT rolled out Procore for the organization for those that either weren't here or forgot. And then we had one of those members depart that was championing Procore. So that got shuffled over to me. And once again, the day job versus full-time thing, right? So I would say the genesis of it, the input came from everyone. Leadership was aware and forward-looking enough to see that was something that was not going to change anytime soon, and resources needed to be dedicated. Is that an okay answer?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no wrong answers. Okay. We're on this journey together to learn more about Johnathon Grammer and the operational excellence community.
Got it.
No such thing as a wrong answer or a bad answer. I am curious, though, as you came from being a superintendent, you're out there on sites day in, day out, calling in concrete trucks, doing QC walks and all that, going from that to sitting at a desk, presumably more often than not, and, crunching keys. What was the most difficult part about making that shift for you?
Not getting to do all that other stuff you just mentioned. I mean, I don't know if it's something you learn. I don't know if it's something, if that type of thing. But for me, it just came natural. I loved being in the field, right? When going the office engineer, the QM route, and knowing there was a decision coming at some point in time, to me, it was a shoe-in. I knew I was going the superintendent route. I thought about a funny side comment, but I'll keep it to myself. It was so much fun. The challenge behind it, how dynamic it is. We talk about, just in general, construction's extremely dynamic, from the clients to the trade partners to the job site, what it is you're building on that job site. Everything changes. I absolutely loved that piece of it. And I think that's part of what I like about what I'm doing now as well, is the same we talked earlier, right? Everything changes, right? From who has an opportunity or a problem or what it is for the day, it's always changing, right? Right now I'm working with marketing, pre-con, and heavily working with operations on different things right now. So it's still, I keep that dynamic aspect of what I do.
Beautiful. Lovely. Very well put, sir. That's one more question. I can't believe we're talking about OpEx for almost 20 minutes now, besides ripping on Bruno lately for a moment there. If there's young individuals out there, say they're at RO or say they're even another GC listening in on this, and they're like, man, that's something that I think I'm really, like, I could provide some help there. What would you tell those folks out there thinking like this playbook stuff, this process documentation and optimization, like that's where I feel I could provide some benefit? How can they get engaged with that, or what should they do?
My recommendation would be to follow the form follows function, same type model, right? So myself, Lacey, and Nick, that's how we all got involved in doing this, is doing those things, working on those problems, capitalizing on those opportunities for things that you see. You may be the only one, or you may find something that everyone struggles with, but finding a way to work on those things. And it sounds easier. I'm saying it and everyone's like, oh, I'm already working 60 hours a week. Totally get it. It's not there all the time. It's when you can, you can make time. I know there was a lot of time I worked on stuff on my lunch hour, right? Or on Saturday or whatever that day was. And I'm not encouraging people to work an immense amount of time, but finding ways to get involved is the best way to do it.
I think if you're passionate about it too, it doesn't feel like work. I'm going to pick on Hagen a bit. He messaged me yesterday at 2-3 in the afternoon, something like that. He said, hey, I've got, things slowed down for a bit. You have anything you want me to work on? We're about to head up to Dallas. It'll be a long day today. We're going to get up there at, 7, 8 o'clock tonight. We'll be leaving Dallas at 4 on Friday. So we'll be back in Austin 7, 8. I said, dude, go, enjoy coffee with your fiance, go walk your cat or whatever you do with cats. I don't know. Go enjoy yourself, right? And he was like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm just going to stay here and work on these dashboards and things like that. And you could tell just in talking with him, if you've spent 5 minutes talking with Hagen, he loves that. He loves getting in the data, into the specifics. So even though he's going well over 40 hours this week, it's something that he loves to do. So I think whenever you find that thing, whenever you feel yourself sitting there on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m., you're like, man, I really think I could make this work better. Like, chase that thread. You know what I mean? You might be surprised what you come up with. You might just find that thing that really drives you. And it could be a opportunity for you to grow and for you to provide an exceptional value to your employer, whomever, wherever that may be.
Sure beats walking cats, I bet. Undoubtedly. So real quick, before we move on to another topic, because I know we will, but talk about getting involved. Like, so right now, I mean, there's some direct ways to get involved. We talked about, we published in the breakfast meetings the ops process, the 27 priority processes that are part of the annual company OKR. Right now, we've got those all prioritized. I'll be sending out communication on that. When you get that, anybody, everybody, it doesn't have to be just operations, but as we start to break those apart and discover what's possible and truly try to simplify those 27 processes and get them, defined and trained to and all that type of stuff, that's a direct, easy way to get involved, is raise your hand for that. Reach out to me, Lacey, Nick, anybody. We would love all the help we can get with those things, right? The people that are doing it day to day know it much better, right? I've been out of it now for 5 years, so I don't pretend to know it as well as the guy that's doing it today. So all the help we can get on that, we would love.
There you go, folks. Get out there. Get on it. Give Mr. Grammer, Mrs. Lacey Williamson, or Mr. Nick Vargo a shout. See what you can do for them. They've done a lot for you. See what you can do for them. I don't want to spend this whole time talking about OpEx because you are far too intriguing an individual to limit this to just a single topic.
Change in a cup holder.
Just not going to let that go.
I'm not going to let it go. He's sitting right there. He's right
we've got to stare
over
at him
your
too.
shoulder.
We can ask him to leave. We can send him down the hall or something. I don't know. We can put him in the doghouse.
Yeah, go walk a cat.
Some quotable moments out of this one. Mr. Grammer, if you could be any superhero, who would you be? Curious. I mean, I'm thinking. I don't know my superheroes very well, right? I know there's a lot of them out there. You've got the Marvel superheroes, and you've got the DC superheroes, and think of all like I don't know. Does James Bond count as a superhero? I feel like he's close, right? He's beyond what a normal human would normally be able to do. So
I just came up with it. Close to James Bond, but I think for sure technically considered superhero Iron Man.
Iron Man.
He's got all the toys, got a suit that flies, flashy cars. Like that'd be super cool.
Well,
I like the toys. I just don't have them. But I had an opportunity to drive some of those cars actually down here a couple years ago, and it was phenomenal. It's so much fun.
If you've got that suit of armor, right, you're invincible. You can fly anywhere. You can do anything.
Watch out, Bruno.
I wasn't even trying to set that up.
No.
That's hilarious.
It felt teed up.
I was gonna ask where you're gonna go.
Like you were just putting it on a platter.
Oh my God, no! That's your two steps ahead of me.
Okay.
You're playing 3D chess, and I'm playing checkers with one color. Yeah, where are you flying to?
Oh.
Where are you off to?
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
I didn't know about New Zealand. I had no idea what New Zealand was until like 2014. I went a substantial period of my life. Like, I heard about it. I saw it on a map. But have you seen New Zealand? Like, it's got beaches that look like Thailand. It's got hills and mountains that look like Ireland. Like, it's amazing. I had no idea.
Tissue or something.
You okay?
I didn't know about New Zealand. It's a country.
I knew about it.
Kiwis are proud people.
I knew about it. I just didn't understand how beautiful of a place that it was.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic.
I want to go.
I've never been.
They have red stag. Red stag are amazing creatures. Have you seen that? That's like the mix between like an elk and a deer. Bruno says it's a bird. It's not a bird. Nope.
Oh,
huge, like amazing. Yeah.
this is
Zealand.
proof. We need to get a third mic in here so we can pick on people more easily. So you'd be off to New Zealand in your suit of armor to hunt some red stag. Wow, that's fantastic. I couldn't have fathomed anything more wonderful, a place for that to better go than what we just went through.
Iron Man in New Zealand.
Oh goodness! So I'm gonna take as an assumption out of that you like to hunt. Is
I
that
do.
true?
Yep.
What else do you like to do on your free time? What kind of hobbies, interests do you have?
These days, most of those are on hold. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. I heard Mark and Max, I think, both talk about kids, and that's
Yes, sir.
consuming a lot of time. So between work and children, love them to death. They're amazing. They're so much fun, but they are time consuming. So most of those other hobbies are waiting. Post midlife crisis, probably I'll either keep those or develop one or two more. But
There you go. Yeah. I'm sorry. You said 4 and 6.
4 and 6, about to be
Four
5 and 7.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've got a ways to go. You've
Oh,
got
yeah.
at least like 13 years, I guess, until you can kind of
No,
relax. Or
I mean, so far from birth to now, they're substantially more self-sufficient, right? Substantially more Yeah.
job well done, sir.
Well, thank you. Yeah, they. No, I mean now they can play by themselves, and I can mow the yard. You can get more stuff done these days. So I don't imagine it's 18 when I begin to tinker a little bit more with those hobbies,
Okay.
but.
So, I'm curious now because having heard from both Mr. Max Kogan and Mark Urabas, how have you managed to balance the work and life? I was trying to avoid saying work-life balance 'cause I hear it so often. How do you manage to balance that, having kids and making sure that you're giving them the love and attention that they deserve, while also making sure that you're not being sucked down into the rabbit hole with work? Because I can tell you're driven, you're passionate. I'm sure that it wouldn't take much more than someone asking for your help for you to be spending your weekend working on R related things. So how do you kind of strike that balance?
I think it's about being present when you're there, right? And for me, that applies both to work and home, right? When I'm at work and I'm working, I'm nose down, driven on that topic, right? And that's where my focus is at. And same thing at home, right? I do now have the luxury, which not everyone does, of being able to I don't turn my phone off, but at 6 o'clock or so in the evening, I don't have to answer the phone anymore, right? Not everyone here has that luxury. I'd be totally cognizant of that, but having that luxury at 6 o'clock to be able to really be present and focus, and even if your phone's on, when it's not ringing, you have the ability to be there with your kids and with my wife, and really just spend quality time with them. I think is the best way to put it. The hours are relative, right? There's weeks that I work a lot more than others, but being present and being engaged in those moments has been really valuable for me.
Man, that's great. I think something that we can all do a bit better. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about kind of people's outlook on things, and that you normalize no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So your life can be pretty bad, and at some point in time, go, it's not so terrible. But on the flip side of that, it can be really good, and you'll start to pick up on the bad things, and they seem to weigh unequally on you. So I think we need to, whenever you do have that time, and enjoy it. Maybe the weather sucks or whatever, but if you're at home hanging out with your kids, hanging out with your family, enjoy it. There's a lot of love there.
Put your phone down. Put the devices down. To me, that was the biggest change. I was guilty of that, like I'm sure a lot of us are, of having either my kid or my wife or whoever around and being on my phone, right? Whatever that thing was at the moment that I thought I needed to look at, you really don't, right? Whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, Reddit, it's wasted time in the grand scheme of things.
Definitely. Well, that's I've also heard that recovering vehicles can be a bit of a waste of time as well. Cesar, do you have a photo that we could pull up for Mr. Grammer to take a look at? We're hoping he could just shed a little light for us as to what was going on over here. And for those of you that are listening, this is an absolutely beautiful, it looks like an 06, 05 Chevy 1500 Z71 great looking diamond plate tool back and toolbox in the back. Got the windows open, sitting in about 18 inches of, I can't tell if it's water, mud, or just straight water or what. That truck isn't going anywhere anytime soon. What was the story here? What happened?
I'm curious where you dug. I don't have.
No.
Facebook.
We're
You
asking the questions
okay.
right now. This might have had something to do with San Antonio acquaintance.
Yeah. No, that should. Yeah, I should have known that. This is on the Canadian River, north of Amarillo, Texas, between Amarillo and Dumas, Texas. There's I don't know what to call it, a festival at best, maybe.
It's like burning
Every
Man.
year in February. Sometimes there's a sanctioned event. It's called the Amarillo Sand Drags. They have issues with the minnows in this river and a few other things, and they don't always get a permit, but everyone always shows up that weekend in February. This is, I would say, peer pressure and bad decisions, maybe, is probably what best defines that particular picture. Yeah, peer pressure and bad decisions.
Peer pressure, bad decisions. So remember that, kids. Peer pressure and bad decisions will get you knee deep in some nasty water trying to recover your truck. And I have to only assume that there were hours of pressure washing time trying to decake the transmission and axles and getting that thing roadworthy again, if you will.
So, yeah, it took a little more than that. That truck had to be towed home. Fortunately, it made it the rest of the weekend, but the sand and the water and stuff is just terrible on electronics. And by the end of the weekend, it had to get towed home. Fortunately for me, I had a friend. He was doing similar things, and his brakes went out. Well, my brakes worked. His motor worked. My motor didn't work. The truck went into, it's called limp mode, where the gas pedal doesn't do anything. It turns on. So we put a strap between those two trucks, and we went from north of Amarillo to Lubbock, and he was the gas, and I was the brakes.
Oh, my God.
Don't recommend that to anyone, but it saved a wrecker bill, a big wrecker bill.
I can't imagine what's going to cost you to get a D4 out there to pull that thing out and then load it onto a flatbed. Yeah. Lessons learned. Jimmy Schwartz is impressed with how much dry land is readily available, and yet you found yourself in 3 feet of water.
During certain activities, it's not the dry land you're pointed at. There was intent behind this. It just didn't work out as well as I'd hoped.
It happens. Yeah. Now, if we see you driving around in a truck with 35s and lift kit on it, we'll know that it was the PTSD that caused those purchase decisions.
Well, those are 35s. They just don't look like.
Really?
Yeah, they're.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were pretty well in there. You weren't going anywhere anytime soon. Thank you, Cesar, for pulling that up, and thank you, Hagen, and thank you, Ash Gilliam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ash. No, I appreciate that.
For helping us out.
Didn't you say he's going to be on coming up?
Yes.
Okay, I'll see if. I bet I can find a picture.
March 8th, I believe.
March 8th. Okay.
Sorry, Ash.
I'll dig through some pictures.
We talked about this beforehand too. You know, if we felt if we reached out to somebody, then they would, you know what I mean? They're probably going to have a chance to reciprocate.
In all fairness, during that era, there's probably some photos that would take longer explanations than that one. So,
trying to keep
also,
PG-13 here.
Yeah, also, thank you, Ash, for that.
Well, you're going to have a hit list after this, aren't you? You're going to go after Bruno,
No, that's what I mean.
go
He's
after
on my
Ash.
good list right now.
Oh,
Like I said,
okay,
he's probably
okay.
got other photos that
No further questions, cite your honor. No, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for elaborating on that. Mr. Grammer, I believe you are from, and correct me on my pronunciation, Bossier City, Louisiana?
I was born in Bossier City, Louisiana.
Bossier. Oh, I was so far off.
I mean, Bossier sounds better. I actually might prefer that.
Bossier
I don't know
City,
if that's accurate, but
Louisiana. So
sounds
I'm sorry,
nice.
you said you were born there?
I was born there. I didn't spend much time there. We moved around a lot as kids. So I spent about 18 months there. Then we left and we went to Aurora, Colorado, outside of Denver. Spent a little bit of time there, not much, about 12, 14 months there. My sister was born there, and then we moved to Hawaii, moved to Hickam Air Force Base on Hawaii.
Okay.
And then spent a little time there and came back to Benbrook. And, man, I've been all over Texas since. We landed in Benbrook on the initial excursion, and then I've been south, north, east, been all over the state.
Bouncing around. Do you think that the constant moving around as a kid is what kind of has molded you into the person who's constantly adapting, looking for that change, looking for how do I make it work with what I have here?
I think it's definitely part of it for sure, right? As a kid, moving schools frequently, we weren't in any one spot for 2 years. It was less than 2 years at each location, so we were moving mid, 3/4 school year even, right? And getting thrown into those environments and being forced to find your way. I'm sure that has something to do with it, right?
I would think so. I was a military brat myself as well. So yeah, it wasn't quite as bad. It was every 3 years. I don't know if it did any mid-year moves, but yeah, I think it forces you to be agile. If as an adolescent you're trying to make friends and integrate with the football team and whatnot, and trying to not be the new kid indefinitely, right? Yep. Excuse me. All right. Well, I'll skip on my Jared Leto question then, because you apparently didn't go to high school unless you were some sort of
Jared Leto from Bossier.
Yeah, that was like the one person that was. I recognize the name.
Not a lot happens in Bossier.
It didn't look like
not
it.
A
It looked
lot
beautiful though, for what it's worth.
Not, no.
Oh, really?
It's not. No.
Wikipedia tricked me.
Sorry for everyone in Bossier that might listen to this, but no, it's not.
We won't make you go back anytime soon. We have 8 minutes left. This is absurd. We need to find a longer format for these. But we'll work with what we've got here. You've done a lot in your life, whether it be getting a truck stuck up in Amarillo and sand, or being the father of a operational excellence department at what is soon to be $1 billion construction company. You're all over the place. You have 2 young kids coming up in your footsteps. What is it? How is it that you want to be remembered when you're gone? What is the most important thing to you? What do you want the Grammer legacy to be?
Oh, assuming I have a legacy, I guess that's. I don't know.
I mean, there must surely. I mean,
someone that cares.
Someone that cares.
I feel like that's something that I try to carry through all aspects of my life. If I'm going to do something, I'm gonna commit to it and do it and really take ownership of it. Yeah, I guess somebody that cares. I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't thought much about that. I guess that's kind of depressing to think about when you're gone. What are people going to remember? I focus on the now, James.
You do, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also important though to balance it out, right?
Yeah.
I don't like to think of it as a sad thing either, right? We're all going to move on at some point. We all are going to move on in our careers, right? You're going to move on to other departments, other companies, other industries, or what have you. Maybe go out and do your own thing. I think of the Adams, right, off building homes and all that, or Joe and Todd running off and doing their thing. You gotta follow your heart. So whenever I think of those legacies, I don't necessarily think of it as like oh, now you're dead, here's your headstone. I thought about actually that, right? What do you want your obituary to be? That seemed a little too dark, especially for someone whose kids might end up watching this or what have you. But I think if you do I want to say if you do your job well, I think wherever you go, you're going to be remembered for something, right? And I think it's interesting to discuss with people what do you want to be remembered as, and it's somewhat to me, it's kind of planning with the end in mind, right? I could tell you personally, like I want to be the guy, and I might catch some flack for this, but like I want to be the guy that 30 years from now, people are like, my God, I can't believe that crazy guy went off and built an AEC specific operating system and made it open source. Like that was the turning point for the industry. There wasn't any more of this paid access only to these critical and highly beneficial softwares. Now everyone out there, everyone with a truck and a saw now has access to the same tools as the giant Turners and McCarthy's and all that out there. Like I hope that someday that's what I'm remembering. It's a reach. It's a real struggle to get there.
That's awesome.
But that's
Kudos
kind
to
of
you.
what I So I guess I don't see it as being something dark or anything like that. And I think hearing from you, being remembered as someone that cares, that resonates very strongly with me, especially having known you for however long you've been here now, 6 or 7 years, whatever it's been. You really, you truly care about the people you work with and work around and all that. And I think people see that, and it definitely sticks out to me just in our time working together, 200 miles apart.
Thank you.
So you're living up to it very well, very effectively.
Awesome.
We've got about 5 minutes left here. If you had to give young Jonathan some advice, 10-year-old Johnathon Grammer some advice, what are you gonna throw at him?
You know, it'd probably be along the lines of be present, right? Maybe appreciate it, right? Like it's too easy to go through life, and you know, I've been thinking about as I get near my midlife probably crisis, getting near that point. I think that comes from, for the most part, and I can't speak for other people, but I think for me that comes from the wishing you would have done. I don't want to say more, but I don't know, living life day to day, like really be there, be present, enjoy it. Like don't get through today trying to get to tomorrow. I think maybe the best thing, right?
Very elegantly put.
I don't think I did enough of that when I was younger. I think it's something I do now, especially with kids, and you know, really watching how fast they grow. It's crazy. It's scary how fast they grow, and that really I think might have been that thing that spurred that for me. Of I've got to enjoy every moment because they're leaving quick, right? They're going to be older. They're going to be driving. They're going to hopefully move out. Right. I love them to death, but right.
No pressure.
Hopefully they'll move out at some point. So it's that good and the bad. I would say enjoy it. That would be my advice to a younger me.
Love it. Yeah. And that's, gosh, it's so tough because you hear that from so many people. And then I think back to a younger myself. I don't know how I could have convinced myself of that.
I wouldn't have listened to me.
Yeah.
No.
Like, no, not a chance. But it's also, to your point, it's so critical. But I do think that the more you hear it, the more people you hear it from, you know, it's kind of like R&D. We're going to get it wrong 99 times out of 100. But that one time that we get it right, you're going to forget about those other 99.
Yep.
It's going to be so good that you won't be concerned with it. So
Absolutely.
if it takes 100 people telling young Johnathon Grammer, hey, enjoy the presence. If only one of them gets through, it's all that matters, right?
Yep.
Just need one to connect. Excuse me, these allergies are killing me. We're up on time here, but we did have Mr. Jimmy Shorts asked, where do you think? So we'll just keep this going. We'll just keep rocking and rolling.
Okay.
See what happens. Jimmy Shorts asked, where do you think? And I'm sure you know, but he's a superintendent down here in Austin. I'm not sure what project he's on currently. He's asking, where do you think that operations needs the most improvement? If you had to pick one area to focus on within operations, what's your target?
I guess I think we're doing phenomenal, right? Obviously, right, we've seen the level of growth and the repeat clients that we have. We're doing great, right? We can always do better. Anyone could do better, right? For us, I think it comes down to communication, right? There's a lot of stuff on some of these support departments, right? From the platforms, we talked about the tools and refining the tool sets to where it's not so chaotic, right? That's a big push that we're making is to reduce the number of tools so it can be more consistent. People can be more familiar with the tools they have rather than knowing a little bit about a bunch. But communication's huge. One thing that I'm really intrigued with right now, and I've spent a little bit of time, I've just started to touch the tip of the iceberg, is staff meetings. I think there's an immense amount of value in a good, well-run staff meeting. I don't think it's something we give enough credit. I know, I'll fall on the sword. Staff meetings were not my favorite thing on a job site, and there were times where we were going through the motions because we knew it was something that needed to be done. There was times that we would skip a week because we didn't feel there was enough to be discussed. But I think there's an opportunity there that if we explore it and we come up with the right recipe, that staff meetings could be a huge I guess, lever, jumping off point to a lot of other great things.
Excellent. That was, boy, right on the mark, too. 2 o'clock. Mr. Schwartz, you got your answer. Focus on communications and staff meetings. I think we're going to cut the live stream here, but maybe we'll stay around and chat some more.
Yeah.
And if we do stay around and chat some more, maybe that'll be available on Spotify and Apple later today or tomorrow. So thank you to everyone who tuned in today. We love seeing you all in here and seeing your questions and comments in the chat. Vanessa, I'm sorry, I don't have a very good Kiwi accent to throw out there for you. I've got a feeling Jonathan doesn't either, based on his lack of awareness of them as a nation for most of his life. But another shout out to Motivosity, ro.motivosity.com. Go in there, show some props share some props. I don't know. Show some respect.
I don't know.
Show some thanks. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Go out there and share some love.
Give props. You
Give props. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Go out there, give props to those people that are making things happen. And we will see you next week when we talk with Mr. Wes Elliott out of Houston. So thank you all again. Have a good one.